king should have rigorous tapas to control over काम, क्रोध, लोभ, लालच, maya. Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss Saptang theory of state. Kautilya's, Vishnugupta, Chanakya's Saptang theory of state. As the name suggests, that Saptang means 7 organs of the state. So, before starting this topic, let me clarify that Kautilya was the Prime Minister of Chandragupta Maurya. He played very important role in ensuring his victory against Nandas. And Kautilya wrote Arthashastra. Arthashastra. Earth here, material things. Shastra means branch of studies. But there is a very popular misconception regarding Arthashastra, that many people think that it's related with the economy. No. Earth here means material things relating to polity, administration, politics. In nutshell, Arthashastra is primarily a book on politics and administration, and other things like economy, society, religion. They are secondary. I repeat, Arthashastra is primarily a book on politics and administration. And Kautilya was realist. A realist favor ends to be achieved and means can be fair or foul. Sam, dam, dand, bhed can be used. So Kautilya was realist, so he is being compared with Machiavelli. And the 19th century Max Weber, who was a thinker, his interpretation was that Kautilya was more realist than Machiavelli, more Machiavellian than Machiavelli, because here priest, saints also can be used as spies. So our today's topic is Saptang theory. Let me clarify one thing again, that in the whole Arthashastra, nowhere Chandragupta is mentioned, nowhere Patliputra is mentioned. Everywhere it is king should be doing this, king should be like this, and capital should be like this. In the whole Arthashastra, there is no mention of Chandragupta Maurya or Patliputra. Moreover, Kautilya was the teacher in Takshila University in North West India, presently Pakistan. Moreover, it is being argued that second and third mandal, total 15 chapters or 15 mandals in Arthashastra is there. And second and third mandal only written by Kautilya during Mauryan period. Second and third chapter of Arthashastra are only contemporary of Mauryan period. Other chapters were written subsequently by series of authors, because Arthashastra in original form has not been found. So, I'll be focusing on 7 organs of the state. I'll be writing in detail, but in a nutshell, the 7 organs of the state have been compared with 7 organs of the body. First is Swami. I will write in detail, but first just verbally understand, and then second layer. First, Swami. Swami means sovereign king, who has been compared with head. Head is the most important part of the body. Sometimes compared with Nabhi, centrality. Nabhi, centrality, center of the body. So, head is the most important. A strong head will reinforce others, not the otherwise. Means a strong king will strengthen weaker parts, but other weaker parts cannot strengthen king. So, king is just like soul, and other are parts of the body. First is Swami. sovereign king, who is compared with head. Second is Amatya, means ministers. They are compared with eyes. Third, Janpad, that is population or territory, that is compared with legs. Then Durg, Durg for safety and security. For safety and security, you use hands. So, Durg means hands. Then Kosh, Kosh treasury, which has been compared with mouth and stomach, how revenue go inside. Then Dand or Bal means army, that is disciplined mind. Disciplined mind. So, always for soldiers, discipline is first virtue, besides courage. And finally, Mitra. Mitra means allies. Your good friend can use harsh words, so you should be ready to listen even harsh and truth from your friends. So they are compared with ears. I write one by one. So these are the 7 organs of the state. Swami, that is sovereign king. Amatya, that is ministers. Then Janpad, population or territory. Then Durg, that is fort. Kosh, that is treasury. Dand or Bal, that is army. And Mitra, that is allies. Now, in detailed explanation. So, first of all, Swami. Swami. Swami means sovereign king. Sovereign king. Not feudal lords or intermediaries, but sovereign king. And he has been compared with head. Head is the most important part, or Nabhi, or center. And he is also be considered to be soul. Soul is considered to be more important than body. So, Swami or sovereign king is just like soul, and others are parts of the body. As it is being believed that every existence has 2 parts. One is soul, which is more important, non-perishable. Another is body, which is perishable. So, regarding sovereign king, Kautilya's theory of state and nature of the Mauryan state was paternalistic benevolent despotism. Paternalistic benevolent despotism. Paternalistic means king was just like father to his subjects. In the happiness of subjects, happiness of king lies, and in their sorrow, his sorrow. A father cannot remain happy if his children are not happy. So, Mauryan state, king was just like father and subjects were just like children. Subjects were just like children. Second, benevolent, welfare. Mauryan state was welfare state. It was not only a police state. It was meant for welfare of the people, like going for irrigational facilities for the people during famine, relief from the state, inns, national highways, facilitation of trade, besides safety, security, defense. So, king in Kautilya's scheme of things is very, very important, center, head or Nabhi or soul, most important. A strong king can reinforce other parts. But if king is weak, others cannot reinforce. So, benevolent, Mauryan state was welfare state. There were hospitals during Ashoka. Subsequently, there were hospitals not only for men but also for animals. Setu Bandh, that is irrigational facilities, were provided by the state. So it was welfare state. And no state can be a welfare state without huge revenue collection. and state itself was involved in various economic activities. Means you can say there was large public sector or public sector and today's language, but there were many areas where state was directly involving into economic function, and largest number of revenue officials are reported during Mauryan period. So revenue administration was toned up, and by this state could do welfare. But despotism, absolute monarchy. Kautilya favored absolute monarchy, while Buddha favored republican tradition in hills, but in plains there was absolute monarchy, as provincial governors were also appointed by the king, and the ministers of the provincial governor were not appointed by governors, but they were appointed by the king. So it was highly centralized, and there was a huge bureaucracy. Salary range was from 60 pan lowest to 48,000 pan. The commander of military commander was getting highest salary, that is 48,000 pan. So in this context, we see that nature of a state was paternalistic, benevolent, despotism, and in this we find that king was playing the central role. King should have rigorous tapas to control over Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Lalach, Maya. Because the king who cannot control over his sensual desire cannot control his subjects. And king must have quality of 22 animals. Machiavelli talked about lion and fox-like qualities in the prince, but Kautilya talked about qualities and virtues of 22 animals in king. So, king plays central role in all aspects, and king is just like head, as we know that head is the topmost part of the body. It controls rest part of the body. So this is regarding Swami. As I said earlier, that Swami or sovereign king is the first element of the state. As far as second element of the state, Amatyas. Amatyas means ministers. Kautilya has devoted a whole chapter on qualities and virtues of ministers. And Amatyas are just like eyes. King can see the whole empire through Amatyas, through ministers. King cannot personally visit each and every place. King cannot take care of each and every individual. But king is informed, king is being supplemented, king controls people through Amatyas. Amatyas are the bridge or eyes by which king can see the empire. So, Amatyas should have so many qualities. They must be belonging to higher blood origin. If their father and forefathers were also in higher nobility, they are preferred. They must be intelligent, they must be wise, they must be knowledgeable, they must be prudent, they must be eloquent, they must be good looking, they must be smart, they must be loyal, there are so many qualities of Amatyas Kautilya has discussed in Saptanga theory of state, 7 organs of the state. And Kautilya always recommended group of 3 ministers, because 2 ministers can join hands and conspire against the king. So mostly 3 ministers, Rajuk, Yukt, Pradeshik. They are being mentioned also in 3rd Rock Edict. And Amatyas play a very, very important role. If eyes are good, then king can see the things properly. If the eyes are good, Amatyas are good. If they are capable, if they are efficient, if they are hard working, if they are loyal, if they always side with the king, then king can take care of his subjects better, and there would not be any gap between king and the subjects on the other hand. So, Swami is compared with Nabhi or head or sometimes as soul, and others are compared with the parts of the body. So, second is Amatyas, that is ministers. Third element of Saptanga theory is Janpad. Janpad in Sanskrit is interchangeably used either for population or territory. Population or territory. Even in modern definition of a state, population, territory, government and sovereignty. These are the four elements of the state. For Kautilya, there were 7 organs of the state, and without population and territory, no state can exist. So, Janpad is compared with legs. People or territory are just like legs of the body, and if legs are strong, secure, then whole body can move, will be dynamic. If legs are not good, people are not good, territory are not secured, then body cannot move. Head cannot move alone without legs. So legs must be strong, and subjects must also contribute for the well-being of the society. It is expected from subjects that they pay taxes, they remain honest, they remain moral, they remain loyal to the state. And Kautilya always highlighted the happiness of subjects, because as I said earlier also, in the happiness of subjects, happiness of king lies, and in their sorrow, his sorrow. And moreover, as I said earlier also, that Mauryan state was a welfare state. It was not merely a police state. So that is Janpad or legs. Fourth element of the state is Durg. Durg or forts. At that point of time, forts were being used for cushion against enemy's attack, and forts were very, very important for safety and security of the empire, particularly capital. So, Kautilya talked about 4 kinds of fort. First is Hill Durg. Hill Durg, Rajgriha was ideal example of Hill Durg. Rajgriha, one of the capital of Magadhan Empire, surrounded by 5 hills, so impregnable, cannot be easily attacked. The enemies will not be able to easily access the capital, and height would be the advantage for that state. And capital should be always safe, because whole royal family lives there, ministers live there, all important decisions regarding the empire is being taken there. So first is Hill Durg, the ideal example of which was Rajgriha. Although Kautilya in Arthashastra has not mentioned either Patliputra or Chandragupta Maurya, but kinds of forts that is implied. Then Jal Durg or Water Durg. If the capital is surrounded by water bodies, then it cannot be easily accessed by enemies, then it will be safer. And the ideal example of Jal Durg was Patliputra. Patliputra was founded by Udayan, the Magadhan king, the second capital of Magadhan dynasty, and later it was the capital of Mauryans. So Patliputra or Patna at present is just like Jal Durg. It is surrounded by 3 rivers, Ganga, Son and Punpun. So this is how Patliputra or Patna was so safe. It could not be easily accessed by the enemies, and capital should be always safe. Then two more forts Kautilya talked about, the vulnerable points. Other points are desert fort and forest fort, because mostly enemies find weak portions from where they can enter, where population is lesser, where the state may not be giving much attention, where the spinous system of the empire will be relatively weaker. But in wake of vulnerability, king must ensure that these areas, forest areas and desert areas, must have forts, must have defense, so that enemies will not be getting easy entry points to enter the empire and to disturb the empire or to defeat that empire. So all those points, vulnerable points, must be taken care of. So forts, durg, for safety and security, when a body is being attacked, when you are being attacked, first hands come for your safety. So forts have been compared with hands. First you use hands for safety of yours in wake of attack. Similarly, Kautilya viewed state with 7 organs, and which of the state is the whole body. And Amatya are eyes, king is head, Janpad leg, fort hands by which you defend yourself. These are the 4 elements of the state. Now I am coming to the 5th element of the state, that is Kosh. Kosh or treasury. Treasury must be full. This will be full only when state itself would be involved into large number of economic activities, and Kosh is compared with mouth and stomach. If stomach is full, then only you can work, then only you can survive. For state also, revenue is holding the key. Kautilya was realist. He believed in economic determinism, that unless material well-being, revenue administration, economic condition of the state is good, if they cannot afford elaborate bureaucracy, they cannot afford huge army, and other essential functions that a state perform depend a lot upon the revenue. So Kautilya was very specific. Samaharta and Sannidhata. Samaharta was collector at the district level, Sannidhata was accountant, and he always claimed that state should squeeze taxes just like leech. Joke ki tarah, means they must absorb more and more revenues by good revenue administration. And largest revenue officials were reported during Mauryan time. So there can be leniency and flexibility in determination of taxes. But once it is determined, then it must be collected with iron hand. Why treasury was full? Because there were many areas where state was involved. Sita land, agricultural land owned by the state, where the state itself was involving into agriculture. There were certain monopolies of the state, areas which were monopoly of the state, whether gambling, whether it's forest wealth, whether it's mining, whether it's gold. So liquor, the manufacturing, they were areas of the state. Moreover, Kautilya talked about 27 superintendents: Sunadhyaksh, Chakradhyaksh, Lavnadhyaksh, Sonadhyaksh, Lohadhyaksh, and so on. Rupadhyaksh for coins. So 27 departments were being there. So treasury, full treasury, and sound revenue collection and revenue administration is holding the key. So if your mouth and stomach are good, then your body will be run smoothly without any scarcity. This is compared. Then 6th, bal. Bal or dand. or army. Talked about army, and a large army would be only guarantee for the safety and security of the empire. So the army must be disciplined, and disciplined mind means dand or bal is compared with mind. So your body is not secure and safe unless your mind is disciplined. And a state is not secure unless their army or force or dand or bal is strong, disciplined, most importantly. So disciplined mind is the only guarantee. And Kautilya talked about 6 kinds of army. First and foremost, the first preference was given to the hereditary army. Those whose commitment and loyalty is time tested from the days of forefathers. They will be always steadfast, they will be always siding with the king and empire to protect them. They will have commitments, they will have durable commitments. They will not leave the state even in bad times because their loyalty is time tested, they are working for so long, for generations. So first is priority is given to hereditary army. Hereditary army. Hereditary army, first preference is given. Then hired troops. The exigency of the campaign or expansion require king to hire troops. They are not so much committed, but they serve the utility, because you have to go for campaign or expansion in certain terrains which are adverse, which are difficult. Then you have to recruit local people in your army. You have to hire the army for success of your expedition. So they are not so much trusted because their motivation is mainly monetary. They may change sides with the changing winds. But at the same time, they also serve the utility. They are indispensable. And Kautilya was realist. As for him, ends are more important than the means. Ends justify the means. Means can be fair or foul. Sam, dam, dand, bhed can be used. So, hereditary army, hired troops. Third category, the troops of guilds. Guilds, the production houses, the people coming together to form a group for common production. So that production, that manufacturing, they are valuable, they are mostly vulnerable, they are being targeted by the robbers, the dacoits. So they also have that kind of army. So private army, you might be seeing around jewelry, in jewelry shop, they don't rely only upon state safety. They do have their own armed forces or private force to protect. Then troops of wild tribes. There were troops of wild tribes because still there were expansion and more areas were brought under the fourfold Varna system, but there were so many tribal areas. Even in legendary Mahabharata, you might be seeing that Duryodhan was arrested by tribal troops and later Pandavas came for the rescue. So this is the fourth kind of army. Then troops of Ari. Ari means enemy. So troops of enemy you have to take care of because how much strength they have, you have to guess, you have to assess. So that is troops of Ari means enemy. And mostly immediate neighbor is enemy. Like Pakistan is India's immediate neighbor. So mostly we have water dispute, border dispute, terrorist dispute, terrorism dispute, so many disputes, Kashmir dispute. Then troops of Mitra. Mitra means ally. So they are being compared With Mitra, army is always helpful during crisis. You seek help from your Mitra, and Mitra or ally whose friendship is time tested, support and reinforce you by supplying their armed forces. So these are the 6 elements of the state. The 7th element is Mitra. Mitra is compared with ears. Your true friend will give you the truth even if it is harsh. You must be ready to listen the truth even if it is harsh. And true real friend will never go for cajoling. Even if you become king, you become higher, you become so much powerful. But your true friend will always enlighten you about the real condition, will not flatter, will not cajole, will not involve into psychophancy. So you must have, means the state must have ears open to listen to the advice and recommendations and truth. And Mitra are also of 2 kinds. Sahaj Mitra, that is natural ally, and Kritrim Mitra means artificial ally. Sahaj Mitra is one whose friendship is there from time immemorial and there from the days of forefathers. And Ari is Ari, means immediate neighbor is Ari or enemy, and the neighbors Ari is Ari, means if Iran is neighboring to Pakistan, Iran is Shia state, Pakistan is having Sunni majority population. So India and Iran have excellent relationship because Iran is Ari's Ari, because it's had adjoining boundary with Pakistan. So Sahaj Mitra. And Kritrim Mitra, many times due to exigency, because of situations, adverse situation, you have to make friends who will stand by you, who will be fighting for you during your crisis. So these are the 7 elements. They are just like ears. So I just conclude whatever we have studied, that 7 elements of the state. First is Swami, that is sovereign king. Second is Amatyas, that is ministers who are being compared with the eyes. Swami is compared with the Nabhi or the head. Then Janpad compared with legs, territory or population. Then Durg, that is forts for safety and security, particularly for capitals. Then Kosh, treasury, that treasury should be full. Durg, your safety is due to hands. Kosh, mouth and stomach. Then Bal or army, that is mind, disciplined mind. And Mitra, just like ears, who will be giving you the true picture. So these are the 7 organs of the state. That is called Saptang theory, which is very important from exam perspective. This is frequently being asked. So how Kautilya explained 7 organs of the state, I have discussed in detail, and you will be able to write this easily because it is static part. There is nothing to update. Once you have developed a command, it will be forever. So the static part, command will be sustainable, and dynamic part you have to update in IGP and that of India and world. But this is a static part. So my recommendations that you should have foolproof preparation to ensure maximizing your marks in PSIR. So that's it for today. Thank you.